Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Pratibha Jadhav, host for the today's session. So I warmly welcome you all to the session first of Parivartan on the behalf of Plast India International University. Well, talking about the Parivartan, if you go by the translation, Parivartan means change. But in our perspective, Parivartan means enhancement of the knowledge. Parivartan means transformation through the knowledge, and Parivartan means upliftment through the knowledge. So to begin this transformative journey, I would like to invite Shri Viral Vaishnav, Chief Administrative Officer and In charge Registrar, PIU, to address the gathering about PIU. Over to you, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Parivartan. It is my pleasure to introduce you to the Plast India International University, popularly known as PIU. PIU is established through Gujarat State Private Universities Act 2009, Amendment 2016. It is a UGC recognized private university, and courses offered at PIU engineering courses are AICTE approved, that is All India Council for Technical Education approved courses. AICTE, as most of us are aware, that it is a regulatory body who approves the engineering courses, who regulates the engineering colleges in India. PIU has been established by a sponsoring body called Plast India Foundation. Plast India Foundation, which is an apex body for the plastics and polymer industry in India, is involved in trade facilitation, promotion of plastics and polymer industry, policy advocacy, and skill development. This university is established with an aim to provide skilled manpower to the industry, upskill and reskill the existing manpower, uh, so that industry gets a quality manpower and grows. Uh, in order to achieve this, PIU works. PIU works by offering courses like BTech in Plastics and Polymer Engineering with a 60 seats, BTech in Computer Science and Engineering with 60 seats. In addition to this, PIU, the student of Plastics and Polymer Engineering, has a facility to enter from diploma to degree as a lateral entry with a 60 seats. With the kind of demand supply ratio and the need of the industry, we offer job guarantee with a commitment for those who join Plastics and Polymer Engineering program. As the university is UGC recognized and AICTE approved, students are entitled for all the government scholarship, be it the central government or state government. In addition to that, PIU also offers the scholarship to the deserving students. This is the PIU campus at Vapi, situated at Dungra Colony, Dungra GIDC. PIU has a technical collaboration with University of Massachusetts Lowell. University of Massachusetts Lowell is renowned for its plastic engineering program since 1954. As a part of this technical collaboration, there will be faculty training provided to PIU faculty at UMass Lowell. UMass Lowell team will also be involved in curriculum development so that student of PIU gets a at par to international level curriculum. PIU as well as UMass Lowell faculty will be involved in teaching learning process so that PIU student also gets a benefit of faculty who are based at University of Massachusetts Lowell. In addition to that, PIU student will also be benefited by attending summer school at UMass level, getting a practical exposure, getting a real exposure at UMass level campus. If we talk about future plans, we are planning to start short-term courses on online basis, on offline mode, as well as on hybrid mode. We are also committed to provide customized corporate training in technical, techno-commercial, soft skill, and administrative area. Moving forward in years to come, we are planning to start new courses in various engineering branches such as mechanical, chemical, and in addition to that, we are planning to start management courses like MBA with a focus on creating entrepreneurs for the economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for the insightful introduction about the PIU. So before we proceed, I request all the participants, if you have any questions, please drop them into the chat box. So we will address your questions at the end of our session in the question answer session after the talk. So let us begin with the today's session. So today's session is focused on the bio-based and biodegradable polymer materials commercially available along with their technical know-how and their usability in modern applications. So to start this session, I would like to invite our today's speaker, Dr. Prashant Gupta. Before that, I have the pleasure of introducing our speaker. So I'll shortly introduce the Dr. Prashant Gupta. So Dr. Gupta is associated with the Plastics and Polymer Engineering Department, Plast India International University, Vapi, as a senior assistant professor. He is experienced academician with more than 9 years of academic experience. He also held leadership and a managerial position in the polymer industries, working in areas of polymer compounding, processing, and composites for 4 years. Dr. Gupta holds a PhD in polymer engineering and technology, a master's degree in plastic engineering, and a postgraduate diploma in chemical technology management with a gold medalist from the prestigious Institute of Chemical Technology, Mumbai. With a journey spanning over 23 years in polymers, his expertise encompasses research areas such as polymer composites, biomaterials, nanomaterials, and the use of ICT in teaching and learning. He has extensive experience in consultancy, teaching various aspects of polymer engineering and industry roles with a focus on R&D. He is also a respected industry trainer in the polymer domain. For now, he has conducted 25 plus virtual and on-site master classes and corporate training programs for Polymer Update Academy, Mumbai, benefiting over 1,000 industry personnel at various management levels. He has an impressive research portfolio with over 30 international publications in renowned peer-reviewed journals and book published by elsewhere, Wiley, Taylor, and Francis, and Springer. He has presented technical papers at numerous international conferences and is recognized internationally as a content developer and a mentor as well in engineering and technological education. So I invite Dr. Prashant Gupta. Over to you, sir. You can start now.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Jadhav, for the introduction. I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Your screen is visible now.
Perfect. Right. So, on behalf of PIU, I welcome you all to the first webinar that we are going to conduct under the series by the name of Parivartan, wherein we wanted to, as Dr. Jadhav has already said, we wanted to, make people aware about the advancements that are coming up in the domain, and we wanted to also focus the topics towards polymers and sustainability. So sustainable causes in the polymers. So with that theme, we have come up with our first title, wherein we are going to talk about the role of biopolymers in modern life. So we're going to look at the applications that biopolymers are having and are about to have for at least the next decade in various applications which are pretty important to humankind at this point in time. And then we are going to slightly go away from the topic and talk about what are the opportunities of creating these biopolymers from materials which are actually having a zero value, which is waste. So for this lecture, we are talking about food waste. So very quickly, what we'll do is we'll just look at what we are going to cover as a part of this session. So these are the outcomes. We'll introduce the topic, the narration around the biopolymers. We'll look at the classification and what biopolymers actually mean. We'll look at the mechanism of how biodegradation occurs, which is pretty similar to what happens even in our kitchen with, let's say, a potato peel or an onion peel. And we'll look at the test methods which are specific or catering to polymers, biopolymers for that sake. We look at important commercial biopolymers and their manufacturers. So there is a lot of hue and cry about who is making it, where are they making it. So we'll touch upon some important biopolymers and where they are commercially being manufactured across the globe. We look at the three applications that I just told you about, the applications that are currently growing, currently researched, and are, the next decade or so is about them. So medical industry, food industry, and then we also look at biochemistry. It's a very, very, very different domain than what you must have, known about even working in the industry. We look at the major sources from where you can make biopolymers, which are sources which are thrown away or discarded away. And we look at certain biodegradable packaging materials, a major classification, and we look at how you can create the films out of vegetative waste. So a couple of research papers and whatever processes are employed in research and in practice as well. So let us introduce the topic first. So we all know how we have proceeded. We have gone through the Stone Age, we have gone through the Metal Age, and then now for the past 100 years or so, we are in the non-metals or plastics age, right? So Stone Age, we all know it went on for so much time. I mean, we are talking about millions of years. Then came the Metal Age where we started using copper and other metals. And then now we are in the non-metal age. So what is basically going on about the narration about plastics, saying it is not good for the environment and all. So what I want to emphasize on over here is that we are just discarding, or we are willing to discard plastic away in just 100 or 120 years of its use. So that brings me to when plastic was first found. So Alexander Parks was a scientist who named the celluloid-based polymers in 1860 behind his name. The name of the material that was discovered was Parkinson, and then celluloid was again, that was named as Parkinson. But again, looking at the chemistry, in 1860 to 70, John Wesley had came up with the name celluloid. Right, that was the first polymer that was incidentally found from the nature. Cellulose being the main backbone of this material. Now, 40 to 50 years, people kept on, trying to develop newer materials with the base of plastic, with the base of polymer. And with this research, in the year 1907, the years may differ from 1907 to 1909. Bakelite was developed by Leo Baekeland, right? So he was a scientist, and he came up with the film that was used, let's say 20 years back, for developing photographs. And he came up with this bakelite material, which we still use, by the way. We use it for printed circuit boards, and there are several other applications as well. So this was a plastic which could be mass manufactured. The earlier plastics like Parkinson and celluloid could be made in a lab, but could not be taken up to from the pilot to the actually production level. Now, what happened after this? Suddenly, plastic age started coming up. Polystyrene was found, polyvinyl chloride was found, polyethylene was found, and what was observed was there was a lot of development around plastics near the World War II era. Incidentally, a lot of plastics were used also in fighting battles as well. There were polymers that were going into vehicles, logistics, into aeroplanes, and there was a certain expansion, or you can say an industrial revolution around plastics around the same time, the World War II time. Now what happened? Now there were, say, let's say 20 years, people were continually using plastics, and then because plastics is durable, which is again ridiculed, plastics was found to be the culprit, saying this doesn't go away, right? So it's a good thing it doesn't go away, meaning that you can use it for a longer time. But because of mismanagement of the waste, which is pretty much what happens even today, people found out that this is everywhere. So it suddenly became an eyesore in the people, in everyone's eyes. So when we talk about numbers or statistics, after this perception shift, between 1950, where probably a lot of the first plastic was, started, mass consumption started happening again, the time around World War II. Some 8,300 million metric tons of plastic was used in between this 65-year period. Out of 79% was landfill. Now, remember, plastics cannot be landfilled, right? So because of the mismanagement of waste, they generally end up in landfills. But when we're talking about plastics, only biodegradable plastics can be landfilled, which is not the case, right? So you would not find, let's say if I'm using 100 kgs of plastic worldwide, I would maybe find 2 or 3 kgs. That is today's. If you go back 5 years, that was not even 1 kg, right? The percentage was less than 1. So it has slightly increased to 2.5%. But again, that can be landfilled, but that is not happening. So the materials which are recyclable in nature were generally landfilled, and only 9% of it is recycled, right? So what was happening was there was a lot of plastic that was simply thrown away. The civic bodies used to pick it up and put it in an open landfill because again closed landfills were already you know pretty much packed up. And then it started, getting in heaps. A lot of municipal corporations today in India, what they are doing is they have started earning money out of these heaps. So what they are doing is they have put up contracts with, so public partnership contracts where there are companies who are sorting away that waste and taking out what is important out of the waste that is there lying in heaps for so many years. Now, there are issues with recycling of packaging plastics because of two things. One is a rat bag. He would optionally he would pick up a bottle because one bottle will weigh the same as, let's say, 100, bags. And then when we are talking about when the rag picker has to sell whatever is that he has picked up, it goes in terms of kgs, right? So packaging plastics have low density and therefore they have lower recycling values as well. So there were issues with mass production of bioplastics such as cellulose and casein, which were developed in the 18th century. There was a lot of research that was going on. The first micro-based bioplastic named polyhydroxybutyrate generated from, and it is today as well. This is a fermentation. This is a process which is usually carried out from Bacillus megaterium. Bioplastics market, as I've already told you, it is roughly 2.5 million metric tons in 2024. By the way, we use roughly 450 million metric tons of plastic every year, the whole world combined. So if you look at 2.5, it's not even 1% still. Consists of 42% non-biodegradable and 58% biodegradable polymer. There's a difference between bio-based and biodegradable. So the difference is bio-based meaning it is coming from nature. Biodegradable meaning it can either come from nature or it can be synthetic based, but it will give away in the environment or it will degrade in the environment. So if a polymer is bio-based in nature, it doesn't mean that it will degrade in the environment. Again, when we go with statistics, because we are trying to connect food waste along with this plastic material, there is 1,300 million metric tons of food that is wasted, and the main sources or the main things which are wasted away are vegetables, fruits, roots, and tubers. So tubers like cucumber and all, right? So we'll focus on these particular categories. 40 to 50% for the food crops wastage. Then roots and vegetables are food crops, roots and vegetables are 40 to 50%. 30% wastage is for cereals, 30% for meat and fish, and 20% is for oilseeds. Now, as we have already seen, biopolymers are natural polymers produced or derived by living organisms. Three things: plants, bacteria, and fungi, which is not happening with synthetic. So almost every synthetic polymer is coming from petrochemical origin or crude oil. They are made by a wide range of organisms, including plants, animals, bacteria, fungi, yeast, and they include examples like which is existing in our own body, like DNA, RNA, proteins, cellulose, chitin, which comes from chitosan, which comes from the exoskeleton of certain sea-based organisms, and starch as well. Again, a food-based material. They are derived from natural renewable resources, offering greater sustainability And the biodegradability concept that we are talking about, it gives an advantage, although that is, that needs to be looked at from the perspective of where you are working and what you are doing. Because certain times it's an advantage. I look at it as energy wasted because that is not going to come back in the loop. All biodegradable polymers are going to get converted into carbon dioxide and methane. And methane being a very potent greenhouse gas, and carbon again, carbon dioxide, carbon being a part of it, right? So we want to hit, these two things with one arrow, right? So these food products that are getting wasted are getting biodegraded, can be utilized and bring them into the cycle so that they can then be converted into biodegradable material. So this is the classification of polymers based on origin and end of life. So the first category shows that is bio-based but not biodegradable. So this comes from the nature, but they are non-biodegradable in nature because of their structure. So structure is what determines whether a product, whether a chemical is biodegradable or non-biodegradable. Let's say polyethylene. When we talk about polyethylene, either it is synthetic or bio-based, it is not going to be degradable. Same goes for polypropylene as well. Then bio polyethylene terephthalate, poly PTT is there, polyamide, polyetherfuranoid, one of very commercial ones which are bio-based but not biodegradable. Plant-based oils, thermosets are there, alkenes, they are made from plant-based oils, and then you have natural rubber as well. So natural rubber comes from nature, and there's a huge plantation. There are a lot of farmers earning money because of it. But when we use that natural rubber, the product made of natural rubber, because of the cross-linking or the thermoset curing process, that becomes non-biodegradable. Inherently, when we talk about natural rubber, it cannot be used, but then in straw form, it is definitely biodegradable. The second category is that of bio-based and biodegradable polymers, which is 100% natural polymers. Polysaccharides, that is cellulose and starch, chitin, there is natural rubber, again it's raw form. Then there is proteins, silk is biodegradable, natural fibers. You talk about jute, kenna, hemp, coir, these are all biodegradable materials. And there can be materials that can be derived, 100% bioderived, like polylactic acid comes from lactic acid, which is again a fermentation product. Then there is polyhydroxyalkanoids. These are aliphatic polyesters, which again come from a fermentation process from a certain breed of bacteria. And then you have polybutylene succinate as well. The third category is that of fossil fuel based. They come from petrochemical nature, but they are biodegradable. That is polyglycolic acid is there, polycaprolactone. This is a material which is going in a lot of blending techniques where you want to make a strong film, which is maybe not, you are not getting it with either starch or cellulose alone. So you use PCl in mixture. Then there is polybutylene adipate terephthalate, and then there is polybutylene succinate as well. And then you have all other plastics, conventional polyethylene, conventional polyamide, conventional polyester, which are non-biodegradable, and they come from fossil fuels. Let us quickly understand how biodegradation happens. So you have this biodeterioration process which comes first, wherein what happens is the biopolymers are attacked by microorganisms which occur in the nature. It can be different environments. It can be soil. It can be water. It can be other environments as well. So there are different methodologies. It can be a compostable environment as well. So what happens during biodeterioration process is that you will find there will be cleavage in the bonds. There will be changes in the chemical. So let's say if the starting property was something around 20 megapascal, after a certain period of exposure, you will find that it is going down by 18, then more exposure 17, 16. And at one point in time, when you keep on exposing it to that biodegradable environment, it will turn into fragments, just like the papad that we eat everyday life, right? So the biomechanical properties change, wherein you will find a decrease in the mechanical properties, then fragmentation happens, chain section happens, and then you would find like you must have seen the skin in winters, right? So that is what you see. Surface changes is what you observe, and there would be reduction in the weight, which is one of the important ways of understanding whether a material is undergoing biodegradation or not. And then there is assimilation. Assimilation is giving away totally. So there is going to be significant mass loss, and then these smaller chain materials like ketones, aldehydes, which have been produced as a byproduct of the degradation process, they get converted into biomass, meaning something that can be decomposed in the environment easily. I told you about water, I told you about carbon dioxide, and there is something that is left out in the environment as well. But it is safe for the environment. Unlike, let's say, there are certain additives that you add, they are catalysts, they degrade the polymer, and then what is left in the environment is actually toxic to the environment rather than, getting assimilated. So these are certain test methods, three conditions as I told you. The right top side is talking about compost. So I have STM D5338 and ISO 14855. So compost is a particular environment. A lot of people loosely use the term biodegradable instead of using the word compostable, which is actually wrong. So compost is a specific environment where you are exposing the material in order to get assimilated and degraded, right? So it does not necessarily mean that if the material is compostable, it is going to be biodegradable as well. Because when we are talking about biodegradation, we are looking at more natural environment rather than sort of a curated harvest in the form of a compost, right? So that is, we check it with soil. So there is ASTM D5988 and ISO 17556 techniques which are used. And then third one is an aquatic system. So you must have heard a lot of you and try around the plastic which is present in the oceans and water bodies, right? So there are tests which also certify whether a material is degradable in the marine environment or not. So in the marine environment, there are known genesis or species of microorganisms which attack the polymer, and if the polymer is susceptible to degradation, it is going to degrade. So when we are talking about water, the first step is obviously hydrolysis, and then eventually when the molecular weight is going down, you would find that it will go away in the environment. Which are the commercial biopolymers that are in use? So we are looking at certain few important ones. So there is natural rubber, which is 100% natural biopolymer, may not be biodegradable again. When you cross-link or cure it, it will not be degradable, right? So these are the bio-based and biodegradable ones. So natural biopolymer that we are talking about. So natural rubber, there will be, and people are earning so much doing farming of natural rubber. In India, you would mostly see it in the south. They are concentrated in the south. You Southeast Asian countries are very popular. Thailand and all, they have a lot of farming in rubbers. So Hevia brasiliensis is the tree. There is another certified tree which gives away this rubber. It is almost the same quality that you get with Hevia brasiliensis. Then there are cellulose, and now cellulose is chemically modified. Uh, so cellulose ether is there, cellulose esters like cellulose acetate is there, and there are cellulose triacetate is there. So cellulose and modified products, modified cellulose, but they are modified in nature like cotton, sisal, rami, flex, hemp, etc. Their esters and ethers. Now, cellulose, as we all know, it's the most abundant macromolecule in the form of biomass on the planet. So almost all trees have cellulose, right? So there is the opportunity that we have. Of course, we can't think of cutting down trees and converting it into cellulose and converting it into biopolymer, but you can definitely plant because there is so much of arable land. I mean, the land in which we can do irrigation, which is actually not used, right? So one side we may think, is it better to grow crops on the farm or is it better to grow plastic on the farm? Meaning the raw material for plastic like corn, then potato, you can harvest starch out of it. So what is better? Because already the world is malnourished, right? But there is so much land out there that is arable and it is not irrigated. So there is a lot of opportunities that lie in. Then there is thermoplastic starch, and again, to complement the properties of starch, people blend it with polycaprolactone. So this is the compostable formulation. You have abundant starch available. It requires lower energy for consumption. So we are looking at temperatures, exclusion temperatures, injection temperatures, and it is biodegradable, but it is moisture sensitive. So this is where you need to check the surface properties. You play around with the hydrophobicity and the hydrophilicity of the polymer to achieve. And that is what companies have done, the ones which have biopolymer products. They have tailored the properties with respect to the usable applications, because if the material is going to be hygroscopic, it is very difficult for one to be for one to use it in any processing equipment like extrusion or injection. It will simply not be possible to process. Then there is polylactic acid. Polylactic acid holds the most, I mean, the major share when we are talking about the amount of biopolymer that is used in the environment. So polylactic acid is compostable up to a thickness of 3.2 mm. It's used in combination with other bio-based or biodegradable polymers. So based on what you want, whether you want to have this biodegradability or not, to improve the stiffness and strength and to reduce the cost, it is processable. Naturally, it is processable by fiber spinning and 3D printing, but that is not what is used to make mass producible polymers. So fiber spinning, yeah, you can go with maybe sort of making threads, but again for thread also extrusion is or filament process is more popular. The extrusion filament making process is more popular. So then you need to incorporate certain other materials to tailor its property to suit the particular application. Then you have polyhydroxyalkanoids, which are polyesters. We are looking at butyrates, valerates, and there can be polyhydroxybutyrate, covalates. So they are microbial polyesters. So coming from microorganisms used for films, fibers, injection molding, thermoforming for making degradable straws. So use and throw kind of. But again, use and throw is a very broad term. It necessarily doesn't, ensure that whatever you are throwing away will go away in the environment, because a lot of products that are termed as use and throw are actually certified compostable and not biodegradable. Meaning, you need to have a culture to biodegrade them, otherwise they will not go away. So again, it's a greenwashing. This term is used for greenwashing in today's environment. Then eco-friendly paper coating, packaging materials, agricultural mulch films, very important. They stay away in the environment. Generally, people burn it, the conventional films that are recyclable but non-biodegradable. And fishing nets. Then there is PBS, that is polybutylene succinate. It increases the rate of crystallization, so decreases your cycle time during injection molding and decreases the temperature of crystallization. So it will take the temperature which is required while you require to open the mold while the cycle is getting finished. It is used in vegetation nets for agro industries, injection molded products like tapes, split yarn, and textiles. Food packaging applications such as disposable tableware, so something like a chopstick, a fork or a spoon, so disposable tableware. Then you have PBAT, which is polybutylene adipate terephthalate. These are aromatic polyesters. So again, the ones which are polyhydroxyalkanoids are aliphatic. These are aromatic, meaning they will have limited biodegradability. And that is why they can be compostable. But aromatic itself means that they will have better strength, right? So they have good physical properties, they have good flexibility, they are resistant to microbial attack because of the aromatic ring giving the better properties to the material, and they can be composted. So these are the bio-based and biodegradable ones. Let us look at bio-based. They are coming from the nature, but they are non-biodegradable. They can be recycled, but they cannot be degraded. So first is biopolyethylene. You have, the common practice of converting sugarcane, the throwaway part of sugarcane, that is the the husk that comes up, converting it using molasses, and then it is giving rise to ethanol. From there, you create ethylene, and that ethylene gets processed into or synthesized into polyethylene, which is again this is coming from this coming from the nature. The conventional ethylene comes from crude oil, so it is the topmost fractional distillate of the crude oil. Then there is polyethylene furanoid. There are several others, but these are the ones which are more popular, or companies are able to have achieve higher yields in producing these polymers. So polyethylene furanoid is used for packaging of soft drinks and alcoholic beverages, for textile fibers. PF, that is polyethylene furanoid, biodegrades in 9 months. In contrast to PET, which you will have to have higher temperatures in order to degrade PET, because there are enzymes which degrade PET as well. Uh, Now let us look at where they are made, or certain companies which they are made. So it's a long list. I'll maybe take a few names, but if anyone wants to have this information, you can just drop me an email uh, at prashant.gupta@plastindia.edu.in, and I'll share this list across with you. We are okay. We are open to sharing information. So the first of this category is cellulose and the modified products. There is Portland's in Italian form is there. Eastman Trivia again made cellulose based products with 40 to 45 of bio-based 45% of bio-based content. There is another misnomer about the bio-based content, meaning if things are coming from plants, we say it is 100% bio-based. That is not how it works. But then that is a story for another seminar. There are a lot of calculations that need to be done in order to derive or understand how much bio-based content is present in a polymer or in any material which is coming 100% from the nature. So it may or may not have 100% bio-based content, definitely not. In thermoplastic starch and blends, you have Novamont, matter-wise the material. Then you have bioplastic, BSF, SE is there. Then there is plantic product, which is again a blend. Corba and Pure RDI is there. Torre again a big company. Skim in NA, that is Northern America, it's a big company. Novamont is there. Yeah, then there is polylactic acid. A lot of NatureWorks is a big company. Total Energies and Carbion, they have 50% venture. Then you have Futero. Then there are Torre is there. There are some companies which are there located in the eastern side of India. You have polyhydroxyalkanoids. WR Grace and ICI Biopol have a joint venture. Then you have Zeneca, Monsanto, Metabolics, Tefa is there, Biohon, SPA is there, PBS, Mitsubishi, Hexing, Zinfu, Ayer, and Showa High Polymer manufactures these products. I mean, the capacities have grown up. 2 years back, the capacities were, a lot of these companies were in the research and development stage. India has also come up with a polylactic acid based manufacturing. They have tied up with some foreign, they've done a technology transfer, and maybe in a year's time, they are going to start manufacturing. Balrampur Chini Mills is the name of the company. They are going to get into huge capacity into polylactic acid. And then, of course, Raj is also there. They are working a lot on manufacturing it. In fact, they already have a pilot plant developed, if I'm not wrong, in Pune. Then there is polybutylene adipiate, co-terephthalate, Yuang is there, BASF is there, and then there are again certain China and Japan-based companies. Bio-based and non-biodegradable biopolyethylene is based by Braskem. Sabic has a bio range, Leondel Basel has a bio range as well. So Sabic and Leondel Basel, they are one of the giants, just like Reliance, who supply material globally. Then polyethylene furanoid, Avantium is the company. PET for biopolyethylene terephthalate, petroleum and chemicals. Bio-PTT, terephthalene, PTT is there, that is Jiuda Energy, and you have Arkema making polyamides, so they are quite large. Let us look at where biopolymers find their use in modern life. So there are some applications that are already listed here: microcapsules, micro or nanospheres, hydrogel liposomes into pharmaceutical applications, medical and biomedical and medicinal uses like implants, skin tissues and biosensors. So biosensors are gaining importance like anything these days. Then you have packaging and food. So imagine an apple coming in a packaging in a packaged form, and then now there are apples which you just need to take in a polymeric solution, take out, and then there will be a coating which will not allow the loss of moisture, which is how oxidation happens and it degrades. So coatings, there are emulsifiers. Emulsifiers are used in a lot of products, a lot of liquid products like mayonnaise, sauces, and all. Then cosmetics, oral and skincare, and then there is agricultural as well. Delivery of agrochemicals and bioabsorbents, super absorbents. And then on the right side, you see again modernized applications of biopolymers like collagen, silk, chitosan, cellulose, keratin for energy storage applications. Again, another important area that is growing like anything. More and more polymers are being used for energy storage and energy conversion. So this is for energy storage. So in medical field, they are very good in terms of drug delivery. So you can sort of synchronize or you can, you know, synergize the effect. So let's say if a drug is needed to be taken at the night, and let's say 50 milligram is the threshold level, and the capsule is to be taken for 150 milligram because 50 milligram may only work for 3 hours. But you cannot take 150 milligram because the threshold level is 150 in 50 milligram only. So you take that 150 milligram wherein every particle will be coated by a biopolymer, preferably cellulose. And what cellulose will do is it will assimilate these drug over a certain period of time. Maybe 3 into 3 is 9 hours. So 3 times the drug that you have taken. So smart drug delivery, perfectly biocompatible in nature. They act as carriers in medical devices and implants. There is electrospun polycaprolactone based scaffolds. They work like anything when we are talking about regenerating bone. So the bone needs to heal faster. We're talking about surgeries related to sports and all, cartilage, skin, tendons, nerves. So maybe something like a ligament. Bacterial cellulose serves as a scaffolding material for tissue engineering. So again, scaffold is an important application. Sericin, which comes from silk, promotes wound healing and skin regeneration. So something which is also extracted from fishes go for the same purpose, and they are eco-friendly and highly stable. So you can see in this table, so the names of the biopolymers are given along with where they are medically used. Like collagen is used for surface coating for tissue cultural plates. Alginate is there, simple gels for cell culture, regenerative medicine, tissue engineering. Hyaluronic acid is there, fibrin, silk-based fibrin, agarose, carrageenan. So there are so many biopolymers which are listed. Next is the biochemistry field. Now I told you, right, it's a very interesting area for even for a polymer scientist, because when we are talking about biochemistry, we are talking about the chemistries that is going inside our body. So nucleic acids are responsible for a lot of chemical functions that keep on going inside our body, which are indirectly supporting the biological functions. So nucleic acid are used as biosensors for high specificity and programmability. So DNA, RNA sensors that we are talking about, biopolymer proteins modify for targeted interaction and controlled proton conduction. There are integration of synthetic nano components into biopolymer frameworks, which enhancing the optical properties. We are talking about these frameworks where optical properties are very important. Current research focuses on individual biopolymer traits, which going further, we are talking about combining two traits which are present in different biopolymers into the same material. And then there is a potential of biopolymer using crop and plant biotechnology as well. Next is food science field. So I told you, right? Instead of having a packaged pill, you have a dip. And the dip is such that there are vitamins that are put into dip. So if you eat that apple, the exterior coating that is there will actually supplement your body with respect to vitamins, right? So they're used in food additives, supplements, and flavor or texture improvement. Essential oil microcapsules extend freshness and act as natural antibacterials. Fruit based edible packaging, the packaging that we eat, it extends the shelf life and maintains nutrition. The trend towards natural food colorants very important. Curcumin, so which comes from turmeric. There is carotenoids. A lot of fruits give carotenoids, and cyanines are there as well, and replaces plastic in packaging with biodegradable and eco-friendly alternatives. Now, where do these bio-based polymers come from? We are going to talk about three sources. First is the sustainable or renewable source. So first one is it comes from agro sources. So polysaccharides, lipids, alginates, and proteins come from agro-based sources, agricultural sources. So simple example to this would be, let's say, lipid, maybe bee wax, which you get from honey, uh, the place where honey lives, right? The honeybee lives. So you can get it from that lipid. So it's kind of very waxy layer. Polysaccharides again, starch being one of those. You get it from potato, corn. The second category is from microorganisms, that is fermentation. And the third category is from biotechnology, that is from fermentation. So polylactic acid, PBS, and PTT, that is polytrimethylene terephthalate, are found from those categories. So these are examples where you get to understand from agricultural source, where do you get these polymers. So glucose comes from sugarcane, sugar beets, corn, there is starch, cellulose, biofibers. Cellulose-based biofibers, alginic acid comes from brown algae. A lot of these, new research comes into seaweeds, which are actually waste inside the sea. But then that can be harvested for creating bio-based materials. And then there is agar as well. Lipids comes from oil-based sticky substrates. So there is so much that contains oils, right? Every seed contains oils. So those seeds are mentioned. Then there are proteins. Again, so you find paneer comes from soy, so comes with a soy kind of a flavor, right? So that is soy-based protein, which is cheaper than milk-based protein. Milk contains casein, right? So again, it's a natural source or a renewable source, and then you have lignin as well. Then there are animal-based sources. So carbohydrates, you have chitin, which I told you, right? It comes from exoskeletons of arthropods. So these are crabs, lobsters, shrimps, etc. Then it is acetylated to get to make chitosan, which is the one which is more popular. There is hyaluronic acid as well, which comes from epithelial or connective tissues like crow cry gives away hyaluronic acid. It has massive importance in the cosmetic industry. Then there is lipids, animal fats. Again, we are talking about sticky materials. And proteins is there like collagen. So it comes from tissues, animal-based, plant-based tissues. Elastin is there, silk is there, keratin is there. So our body is actually full of polymers. Though we do not perceive it that way, but even a ligament which when extends and will not give away and it can come back to its original shape and size is happening through a polymer elasticity mechanism. Then there are microbial sources, carbohydrates from xanthan gum, the gum that gets secreted out of a tree. So then it gets fermented using gram-negative bacterium. Then curdlan, and then you have hyaluronic acid as well, which can be made by fermentation of streptococcus bacteria. And microbial polyesters include PHAs and polylactic acid. So there are a lot of opportunities from food waste, right? Bioactive compounds can be used for introducing or augmenting antioxidant and or antimicrobial properties. So I'll just give you a crux of what is written on this slide. So imagine you going to a Walmart or maybe a shopping mall, and there is a product on the shelf which is packaged into plastic, and it's not going to remain transparent for long, right? So as soon as the time gets passed by, the transparent packaging will turn into a darker packaging, or the transparent packaging may turn into a greener or a red-based packaging, depending on what you have added. So why is this happening? Because it is indicating that it has been on the shelf for too long and you cannot consume it, so it might have received an expiry date, right? So a lot of times, if you import products and see, let's say for example, medicines. So a lot of times you will find that medicines there will be written store in a cool and a dry place, and then the shopkeeper gives you this medicine, and you question him that out of 2 years, 1 year has passed, and he would say that only 1 year has passed. No, 1 year is still remaining. But then we do not look at how he has stored it, right? He has not stored it in a cool and dry place. Most likely, his shop may be having sunlight every day, maybe for 2 or 3 hours, and is continuously kept in sunlight, maybe coming on his shelves. So when we're talking about storage conditions, then the shelf life matters. If the storage conditions are not met, you go onto a highway, you look at these wafers and kurkure and all hanging. They are never stored based on the conditions that are required for storage life. So there are ways in which you can utilize food waste based material for making temperature sensitive. Let's say if it is set cool temperature and then the temperature is 30, 35, it will turn into a different color. So pH as well and aging sensitive. I mean, if a time passes by, it ages, the color of the packaging would change. So that is what you can achieve with food waste. So this is just an image which tells you about proteins. So protein, we have so much. There is casein, there is whey protein, albumin is there, soy, wheat, gluten. And what you can see in front of you is, besides the protein sources, the water vapor permeability, the tensile strength, elongation and break. And the L star is the difference between maybe a transparent film and this film. The advantages and disadvantages. Mostly what you would see over here is, one is they are moisture sensitive. They may be having properties, mechanical properties which might not be very good. So that is where tailoring them to the required application becomes so very important, right? So they may not be used individually, but they will definitely find application maybe by replacing 50% or 40% or 30% of the base material, which can be a biopolymer like polycaprolactone or maybe polybutylene succinate or something like that. And you can see here almost everything that we eat, what is not eaten is thrown away, right? And then that can give you materials which can mean value. So these are about polysaccharides and lipids. We'll move forward. So we talk about starch. This is another image where you understand that what kind of feature starch can have upon modification. So the left image that you see is starch nano fiber film. So you can see when you pour in three droplets which are transparent pink and blue color, you would find that it will wet the tissue. But as soon as you treat this starch nanofiber film with stearic acid, you can see it behaves like a pearl. The contact angle significantly goes up, meaning you would not find any wetting. So you can see in these images again with changes. So you can see starch nanofiber film will wet the tissue, but when you treat it with stearic acid, it will keep the water in the form of pearls. In the same way, this is talking about the contact angle. And again, in the same way, you would find that in starch stearic acid based material, the tissue doesn't get wet. It remains as it is. Then this is chitin and chitosan. So the first image, the A image tells you about the fruit pomace, which is blueberry and blackberry. So pomace is nothing but the leftover waste after extracting the juice. So from there, active extract is taken and converted into chitosan, and there is a pH sensitive film which is also rich in antioxidants. You might be knowing berries are also very rich in antioxidants, like people say eat berries, strawberry, blueberry, whatever berries you can eat. So the film will be very rich in antioxidants and it will create a pH sensitive film as well. And then there is bamboo leaves which are coated with zinc oxide nanoparticles. So chitosan comes from the exoskeletons of arthropods, and then you have nano zinc oxide and again bamboo leaves. You mix it, treat it, and you would find that generally bamboo leaves will give away. They will get rotten. But then when the coating is applied on top of it, it certainly changes a little bit of appearance, but not by that amount. So in the same way, cellulose, these are practical research examples that are there. So from coconut shell, they are grounded or converted into a powder. They are treated chemically. It's an alkaline based process. They undergo physical treatment and they are converted into cellulose nanofibers. They must have done a lot of testing, XRD, FTIR, SEM, TEM, AFM, and they are used to make a nano composite film which will save the fruit or a perishable product. This is an example where we are talking about a tree gum. Uh, the gum that we eat when there are when there are winters to keep our body warm, right? So tree gum combines with graphene oxide, which is a nanomaterial, and what it basically brings about. So this tree gum is mixed in a graphene oxide material, which is black, and you get a nacre-like structure, pearl kind of a structure. Which what happens is because of which you would find that the the material did not have good air permeability, or rather, the air permeability is very poor. And because of these graphene oxide nanoparticles, it has created a path where where the gas has to navigate itself. So what it brings about is that it increases the permeation properties and decreases the rate of gas permeation. Think about a Balaji packet or a Kurkure packet, for example. I'm not, sort of advertising any brand, but these are the common examples that we see in everyday life. So think about a eatable packet, and what if it is saying a shelf life of 6 months, and then when you open the packet, if the oxygen has transferred from outside to the inside, you will find that you will not be able to eat it, right? So it creates a torturous path or a tortuous path for the gas to go from outside to the inside. This is blown film extrusion process. So some people say, okay, fine, casting and all is okay, but what about mass production? There have been examples where people have used. So this is a palm empty fruit bunch. So palm oil is extracted, and then you get a flower kind of a palm fruit. So that is basically grounded, and then it is used into making of bioplastic bags as a filler, right? Again, this is an example of converting the same into nanocellulose gel. So there are so many opportunities that you get from food waste. These are certain examples of it. You have, so you can see here. This is the name of the waste. There is what film forming bioactive material is there. What is the tensile strength, elongation and break, water vapor transmission rate, and the method by which the film is reported. Everything is reported in research, and people have worked on this and they have proved that it is still possible. Banana peels, we all know banana peels and banana pseudostem especially is very rich in cellulose. Banana pseudostem, the one banana plant will only give fruits for one season. So what they do is they cut it, allow it to dry, and then burn it up. right? So rather than going for that, you can extract cellulose and you can make films using casting techniques. Then there is carrot waste. Anything that makes peels, you can utilize cellulose out of it. There is parsley stem. You have, so apple pomace is there. Then there are rice hulls and straw. Then there is spinach, and this is cauliflower stalks that are there. So there are a couple of people who have joined in. Happens to be some of my past students. We have worked on cauliflower waste as well. The radicchio waste is there. Cellulose, cassava peels, biocomposites can be made using cassava peels. Citrus waste, let's say orange juice is being extracted and then oranges and the fiber based materials are left away, right? So it can create a pectin based biofilm. And when you look at even the strength, so let's say 15 megapascal is the strength. If you look at LLDP, it will give you maybe 16 to 17 megapascal only. And if you can engineer this product, tailor this product, you can certainly get a good value. Then cocoa pod husks are there. Again, you get cellulose-based nanofilms. Now these are hard, and that is why the material is having very good tensile strength. You can utilize casting or extrusion. You can utilize molding, compression molding for citrus waste. Hazelnut skin is there. The ice cream that we eat comes from this hazelnut, right? Film forming material. So people have used hazelnut into a mixture of polylactic acid and the PP biocomposite, PP for strength, polylactic acid for the bio end to it, and hazelnut as a filler. And hemp fibers are there, jackfruit seeds. So if you have eaten jackfruit, we are very pissed off on eating the skin or it literally feels like a thick film, and we have to take continuously take it out of our mouth, which is the film forming material that we are talking about. Mangosteen peels are also there, soy waste, biocomposite, orange peels, pectin and cellulose-based films made by extrusion and casting. Palm fruit bunch, the example we saw using extrusion, so it was a blown film extrusion technique. Passion fruit peels, so this is the native fruit to the American region. Again, you can utilize extrusion and molding. Peanut hulls, pineapple leaves. So we only see the fruit, right? There is this huge leaf that is there. Potato is there, which gives us a starch. Rice straw, again film. So you can see here, these are not just casting but commercial techniques as well. So there are so many opportunities. There is pine flower waste, pumpkin peel, sago waste, tea leaves waste, tomato, oat hull, miscanthus, and many more opportunities. Anything that can be made into a film. So we are talking about focused on packaging because there is a lot of hue and cry which is surrounded around packaging. So we have come to a close and we'll just finish it up. We introduced the topic, we looked at biopolymers and how they are classified 4 categories. We looked at the mechanism of biodegradation and the methods. We looked at important commercial biopolymers and who manufactures them. Biopolymers in the modern world, we look at 3 domains, medical, food, and biochemistry. We looked at waste as an utility for developing packaging films, major sources and opportunities for food waste. So we saw 6 slides on that, and biodegradable packaging materials and how we can make a couple of examples from research onto vegetative waste-based films. So thank you for your patience. Just to declare about our next seminar, so as next 1st of May is a holiday, we are conducting it a day before, that is on 30th of April. It's a very interesting talk by Dr. Aniruddha Chatterjee, who is an associate professor with our department at PIU Vapi. The topic is going to be about polymeric nanostructures. So just to understand about the magic of nanotechnology. So you can register with the links, you can follow our social media channels, and you can get the registration links. We'll just look at if you have any questions, or else we will definitely try and close. Yeah, so, okay. Okay, so how does microbial polyester differ from general polyester in terms of properties? Fine. So when we are talking about microbial polyester, we are talking about polyester which is coming from microorganisms, meaning they are going to be bio-originated in nature. Now, when we are talking about commercial polyester, we are largely looking at the basic reaction of terephthalic acid and ethylene glycol giving you the PET or the PBT with, of course, a change in properties. Now, although both of these materials are going to function in the same manner, bio-based polyester is going to give you that degradability edge, which you will generally not find with the commercial polyester. So there may be a difference, slight difference in the properties with respect to that, the applications as well. But largely, when we look at a greater context, it is more or less going to be the same. Right. Okay. So yeah, so we come to a close. Dr. Jadhav, over to you. I hope all of you who were there have enjoyed. We'll keep coming up with interesting topics like these. Thank you. Thank you for attending.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gupta, for the such an insightful and inspiring session. I think there are no more questions. So, as we end this session, I would like to extend a heartfelt thank you to our today's speaker, Dr. Gupta, for their time and insights. Again, I would like to thank Shri Viral Vaishnav for the opening address, and a very big thank you to all the participants for joining us today. And before we wrap, as Dr. Gupta already told all the participants, I'm happy to announce our next webinar, which will be held on the 30th April of 2025. So stay tuned for more details. Thank you so much, everyone.